in 2006, I discovered an enigma about climate that just didn't make any sense. Basically, I discovered that in the Greenland ice cores, at the same time that we came out of the last ice age, when we were warming most rapidly, was precisely the time when there was the most volcanic activity recorded in the Greenland ice cores. And this suggested that volcanoes cause warming. But I've been a volcanologist all my life, and I know, as all volcanologists do, that big explosive volcanoes cause cooling, like Mount Pinatubo in 1991. And I said, wait a minute, this just doesn't make sense. I got to figure this out. And the more I looked into it, the better the data looked. It was pretty clear there was a real problem. So for the last 12 years, I have put almost everything else aside in my life and worked full-time trying to understand this problem. It's led in a very interesting direction. It's very clear that the globe has been warming, but it's also clear, and it's clear that man caused some of that warming, but not because of greenhouse gases. And over all of Earth history, volcanoes, certain types of volcanoes, major basaltic flows coming out of volcanoes cause the warming. And you can see this throughout all of Earth history.
Very interesting. So we're talking about volcanoes and we're talking about man. And what are some of the other influences?
Influences on climate?
Yeah. In terms of causing warming.
Well, in terms of causing warming, what I've discovered is that the ozone layer, which is 12, 15 miles above Earth, protects us from ultraviolet light coming from the sun. That's well known, well understood. Ultraviolet light is dangerous, damaging light. That's what causes sunburn, causes skin cancer, can even cause mutations in sufficient amount. It turns out that man accidentally started depleting the ozone layer back around 1970 because of producing chlorofluorocarbon gases, CFC gases. When you deplete the ozone layer, more ultraviolet B reaches the Earth than usual, and this led to the warming of Earth. In 1986, when we discovered the Antarctic ozone hole, we discovered the problem was a lot bigger than we had thought. And within 2 years, scientists and political leaders at the UN came up with a Montreal Protocol restricting the production of CFCs. This took effect in 1989. Sure enough, 1993, the increase in CFCs stopped. 1995, the increase in ozone depletion stopped. 1998, the increase in temperature stopped. So man had turned on global warming and stopped global warming, but we still remain warm. The ozone layer still remains depleted, which means we're still melting ice, we're still causing problems. Then it turns out the volcanoes, when you have big basaltic lava flows, like what we see in Hawaii, but much, much bigger, these cause warming. And the biggest ones are as large as the whole United States, back around over 200 million years ago. So we're talking really big lava flows. These are very closely associated throughout geologic time. Every time you see one of these lava flows, it's a period of major warming and major mass extinction. So nature is causing changes in climate, and man just happened to get into the Achilles heel of climate through this production of CFCs.
Okay, if anybody has a question, please go ahead. And I'm looking at Facebook, Dr. Ward's Facebook page and my Facebook page, also a group that we put together, and we'll be glad to go ahead and take questions. So, as I understand it, there is a study, am I correct, that will be coming out soon about the climate changes?
Well, I have a book, Why Climate Changes, What Really Causes Global Warming, Greenhouse Gases or Ozone Depletion. It's been out a couple of years. It's readily available on Amazon and on my website, whyclimatechanges.com. I've published several papers on this. And the problem I'm having is that most scientists who believe very sincerely in greenhouse warming theory just can't conceive of the concept that that theory might be wrong. And it turns out it is wrong. And I can explain why, what the physics is. And it's a fundamental misunderstanding in physics. And so here we are at a point in time, we're talking about spending trillions of dollars to reduce greenhouse gases. And yet I have very clear scientific evidence that nobody has been able to dispute so far, that man and nature are causing the warming by ozone depletion, and that greenhouse gases cannot physically cause the warming.